Hello everyone and welcome back to Life Redesigned. For those of you who are stopping by for the very first time, allow me to introduce ourselves and hopefully it is a positive experience for you. I am Bob.
I'm Karri.
And in 2022, Karri and I sold everything that we owned and we hit the road full time in our 22 MLE from Grand Design, which is a 2023 model. And we have been having a great time and we find ourselves in such unique places as well. This luxury resort here in Sevierville, Tennessee, and that is going to be the topic of today's video, how the manager of this RV facility should be fired immediately for putting people, not only their lives in jeopardy, but just a blatant disregard for the clientele here during what could have been a life-changing storm for a lot of people. You're going to want to stick around for this story. Well, happy birthday to me and hello redesigners. Welcome to Tennessee.
Hi.
Welcome to Cove Creek RV Resort and welcome to what we were greeted with this morning. Yeah, that's what we were greeted with. As you can see, we're trying to get out because 1 minute it was a couple inches and next minute we're flooded completely. That's the office. There's nobody here today because they're closed on Thursdays, even though they knew and there was going to be flooding, because apparently this place floods all the time. Would have been nice to know. There should be somebody in the office. You got annuals whose stuff is just floating away. They were told too bad when they called, so that's always a good thing. So now we have to figure out how to get this up to the next level, and we're going to try to figure out our next move. But normally Karri and I, there's Karri.
Hi.
We normally don't document stuff like that, but just wanted to show you. This is why staff should be on hand at all times, because we love this place right up until now. And after hearing how they're treating the people here, they're just like, whatever, deal with it. Did I mention? It's my birthday. Say happy birthday to me, Karen.
Happy birthday, Chuck.
Now, for those of you who have been around the channel for the past few weeks, you have known that we have given this RV resort here, Cove Creek RV Resort in Wears Valley, which is Sevierville, Tennessee. We have been giving them nothing but the best of accolades, and we've been giving them, well, kind of like a thumbs up on every video, just happy to be here. And that was, well, because we were happy with the management and the staff, because, well, there was no reason not to be happy. The sun was shining, life was good, and any manager can look good in ideal situations. And it was until we had a little bit of a rainstorm come through here from Hurricane Helene. And the manager that sits in that building, Cindy, well, this was her moment to shine. Yeah. All of these spots here were taken. In fact, ours is the first one you see back in the water with the upside down picnic table. This would have been her time to shine, showing her managerial skills, helping all the people, because this was a packed campground at the time. And what did Cindy choose to do with that, knowing that there was a major storm coming in? And oh, by the way, this isn't a first. This place floods all the time. What did she do with that knowledge? Well, she chose to take the day off and leave everybody here to fend for themselves. Now, not a big deal. Karri and I looked out the window that morning because it was Thursday, it was my birthday. Yeah. And we saw an inch of water outside. We're like, no big worry.
It wasn't bad. I took a picture, sent it to the kids. I'm like, ooh, this could be bad. Not even an hour later, I opened the door again and I'm like, oh my God, it was up past to the front step.
So I jumped into action, pajamas on and everything, threw on a raincoat, had my pajama shorts on.
Now, redesigners, you know, Bob, there was not a single cuss word out of his mouth. Not a one, not a, oh my God, not a nothing. Just, Karri, we need to get this moved and we need to do it now.
I sprung into action and told Karri, you need to pull the slides in, because I noticed our pedestal was underwater. Our watchdog surge protector, everything was completely underwater. And everything had to get packed up immediately. And that's what we did. Karri and I have this thing down to a science where we can get hooked up and ready to roll in about 20-25 minutes. That's, well, part of being full-time for the past few years. Well, it was about the time I got the truck hooked up to the rig that people started coming up to me, begging me for help, because there was nobody on staff here to help them. And I'm talking about permanent residents here. I'm talking about a beautiful couple, and I forget your names, I apologize, from Ohio.
They're not from Ohio. They're Tiffin's from Ohio.
Tiffin's from Ohio. Anyhow, they had just sold everything they owned and they hit the road full time, and this was their first stop in their brand new Tiffin. And they had problems getting the slides in. That's another story, but they came to me for help because they thought I worked here. In fact, so many people came up to me thinking I worked here that I was ready at a moment's notice to take over the managerial role.
And he did. Like, he moved our stuff out of the water, went back into the water, and helped a lady carry out her 50-pound boxer because she couldn't do it. There were other people coming up to him. I mean, he was helping everybody.
And it was an interesting situation to be put in. And you know, as nice as I can be, I did have to tell people a few times, no, I can't pull your rig out. Plus, I have to get my own rig out. So it did kind of make us wonder where the staffing was. Now, one of the annuals here gave us the cell phone number to the manager. And why did we need that? Well, because when you call the office, it's just an answering machine that says basically the office is closed.
They're closed Wednesdays and Thursdays.
And then basically you're on your own.
Yeah.
So Karri and I get the number to the manager. Karri calls the manager, Cindy, and I'm going forward. I'm going to use the term manager very loosely because Cindy, with all due respect, you're not a manager. A manager would have been here taking care of their staff and taking care of the people that you had obligations to. You are basically counter help, and you should be, again, fired immediately. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Karri calls and says, hey, because our rig is now up here, we're on dry land, where would you like us to go? And you are told?
She said, I'm sorry, but we don't have any spots available because there are future campers coming in, so therefore they have nothing for us.
Now, we're about 20 days into a 30-day stay, so we've already paid. And at the most they offered was for us to leave this campground and go to another one miles down the road that we know nothing about. And I'm glad that we didn't because the reviews were just horrible, to one of their sister properties. And we could just go there. And I said, well, wait a minute. I'm paid for a spot here. You have a plethora of open spots up here. Why don't we just move into one of them? And she says, because I don't have an obligation to you. I have an obligation to the people coming in, which means that she didn't call people coming in and saying, hey, the place was flooded. And as we found out later, they just kept pouring in because they thought this was going to be open. Now, would you like to stay here? Probably not. I questioned Cindy on the lack of her staffing, and I was told that I do have a maintenance person on staff, and you probably don't see him because he's out there helping people. He was helping somebody, he was helping himself because he was moving into the premier spot, the one right up that we actually shot a video from, with the hot tub and everything else. So he did take care of himself.
And then he stood over in the pool area and just talked on the phone. You didn't see him out in the water or anything else. He was just in the pool area.
So when I mentioned to Cindy, well, Cindy, as a manager, you should be here with your property considering it's flooded out. And oh, by the way, it gets better because all these people that evacuated couldn't find their sewer caps. So every one of the sewer holding tanks is open, which means the water poured in and then the poop came out. And this water is brown for a multiple of reasons. So anyhow, and so back to the conversation with Cindy. So Cindy says, no, I have no obligation to you. In fact, you're disrespecting me. I'm ending this conversation. The conversation's being recorded, and she hung up on me. Okay, so we know that the staffing here, by their own admission, records all the conversations without your knowledge, so that's interesting. And two, well, Cindy must have forgotten a couple of key components because after talking to her maintenance person, who was on the phone with her after we got done with her, she happened to remember that we were those YouTubers that gave another one of her staff members two, not one, but two e-bikes because we had upgraded to ours. These were e-bikes that we had paid for at one time and we just didn't have the need for them due to Troxus sending us another bike. So we gave them out to staff that could utilize it. So I'm not the bad guy for once because I just gave your staff like $3,000 worth of bikes and these bikes hardly had any miles on them. So out of nowhere, the maintenance guy, forgot his name, says you can go and have this other site. And we're like, well, that's great, but we're not moving until you give the other people who are displaced and who are told the same thing, spots as well. So they give them their spots and life is good. Until you come back and you see a couple hours later, Cindy decides to finally show up and she's having a gay old time laughing and allowing people to kayak through and have just fun, no problems. And never once warned anybody that, hey, when you're coming in, you should have like the roads roped off here. You know, don't go down here because you're gonna get stuck. There's nothing to it. That was her day off, and she was more concerned about the cat that she had inside her coat than she was about the people that were staying here, both annuals and transients. And it just goes to show you that this park is just run like, well, trash. And it seems to be a reoccurring theme amongst the 3 properties that they own in the area. And we'll put those on screen so you know which ones to avoid. Now, Karri and I did do our due diligence because today is the next day. And we went out just touring around and checked out local area campgrounds to see how they handled it.
Wow.
And well, what did we find?
They had moved everyone back from the water so no one was, you know, drowning. And it was good. Life was good. People are in the pool. They're doing their thing. They don't have to worry about flooding.
And this is where an interesting point was that, like Karri had mentioned, every single one of these campgrounds had staff and management on duty to make sure people in the areas that get flooded like this were moved to higher ground, and they stopped new people from coming in because they didn't have the space and it was unsafe. And this was a reoccurring theme after campground after campground after campground. Facebook's a wonderful thing when you start searching around to see how everybody else is faring. We are going to cut our stay short here and get the hell out because I can't trust them with anything here. And quite frankly, now it's just uncomfortable because, well, Cindy's very inexperienced. And if there's an actual real storm that comes through now, I can't trust all my assets to somebody who's that unprepared. Okay, so I can clear that camera for you. If you want to stay in Pigeon Forge, Sevierville, Gatlinburg, all the areas here in the Smokies, don't hesitate. Just avoid anything owned by, I believe it's TGE Resorts, and especially if Cindy's Cindy's the manager here, don't even bother. I wouldn't let my worst enemy, and I have quite a few, stay here under that management. That is probably the worst experience I've seen. Now, for any of those of you who are thinking that I'm a little off my rocker today, I want you to understand that this whole park at one point prior to all of this breaking loose was filled by a whole camp group of, well, Christians. They were all here on a Bible tour.
They were called 8 Days of Hope, and there was maybe a dozen of them that went out daily and did their thing.
And they were all older group of people. Had they been here at the time, who the hell was going to get them out? And that's something you have to look at. Now, I understand that, you know, you're in the mountains of Tennessee and it rains and things flood. I'm not a local. I don't come here all the time. That's where you have to rely on management and their staffing to address this. Never once were we told, hey, this is going to flood, get out. Never once were we told, hey, be prepared, this is a bad situation. We were just left to fend for ourselves, and as were others here, and it's very disgusting behavior.
But hey, thanks for your money.
Yeah, but it is true. As long as Cindy got our money, she was more than happy to push us aside so she could get more money coming in. Pretty sad. So anybody who watches this video, we highly recommend you check out several other campgrounds. The Ridge is a beautiful one.
Oh my gosh,
the KOA here in Townsend is absolutely incredible. But as far as Cove Creek and all its flooding, don't bother.
Do it.
Oh, and by the way, not one person's gone looking for the sewer caps. It's still the next day, and it's still just poop water everywhere. But we did get a text that says close your tank valves because you might get poop up in the RV. Go figure. Again, not our normal kind of video, but we did promise you guys if we ran into bad management or a bad park that we felt uncomfortable with, we would 100% call them out.
This is necessary. This was very necessary.
This was the time to call out this really poor management. You've been in a similar situation, let us know in the comments below. If you've been here before and dealt with something similar, also let us know in the comments below. Yeah, that's it.
Other than that,
we'll catch you in the next one. I am Bob.
I'm Karri.
And this has been Life Redesigned.
Bye.